Hi guys, it's Matt from Solderman Solutions. Good to see you again. Hope you're having a great day. So let's talk about outreach. And shout out to Melinda Livesey, who reminded me the other day that sometimes the most exciting thing you can do is share your own story. And so when we talk about outreach, I'd like to talk to you about how I used outreach to get work with the Future. And then ultimately, that work led to writing blogging for creative entrepreneurs. So it's a pretty exciting story for me, and I think you'll enjoy it. And hopefully, you can take some tips away from this to be able to use it yourself. Okay, so I've been following the Future for a while, and you may have heard of this before. Back before they were the Future, they were the school, and it was Chris and Jose, and Chris looked a lot different. He was skinnier. He was a little bit more nervous on camera. They still provided tremendous value and had great conversations. So recommend that you check that out. But so one of the threads to this story is that I was following them, and Chris would often say, friend me on Facebook or connect with me on social media. And I'm a bit of a skeptic, so I didn't believe him. But over the months that I was following them, I could see that he had genuine frustration to the fact that people would friend him and just beg for things. Uh, hire me, review my portfolio online. Uh, and what Chris would say is, listen, I provide tremendous value for free. How about being a nice guy? And how about getting to know me? How about thanking me for what I've done? Uh, Not just give me, give me, give me, right? And so I saw that and I said, wow, he must actually be connecting with these people because he's genuinely frustrated. And so I said, well, I'm going to have to reach out to him. So put that story thread aside for a minute. Okay. What was also happening at the same time was um, I had been to the Future website a number of times. And, generally with our idols or people that we idolize, we tend to think that they float on air. But after going to the Future website a number of times and hearing Chris say that they were working on the Future with very few employees and sort of on a shoestring budget, I started to realize that there were uh, ways that the website could be improved as far as its search engine optimization and just some other little tweaks. And so when I started thinking of them as maybe needing some help, I opened up my eyes and started using my SEO tools and found some ways that they could improve and some things that could be worked on. So that's another thread to the story. What also happened during those period of months is I listened to a podcast by Neil Patel where he said that he had gotten some of his best work by doing free audits, free search engine optimization audits for people who were not clients, and then just sort of cold emailing them and saying, this is what you can improve on, and this is how I would do it to fix it. And then some of them would get back to him and they would hire him. So when you put all those together, you probably see my plan coming together. But I thought it was a really good plan, and I didn't want to ruin it. So I friended Chris, and I thanked him for all the information that he's been giving away for free. As someone who runs a creative business, I have benefited immensely from what he's talked about as far as bidding and pitching and communicating with clients and all of those things. So I thanked him, and then I waited a week. And then I recommended an idea that I had for a show to him. And then I waited another week. And this was all by design. I wanted to play the long game. I didn't want to come off as one of these people that had frustrated Chris. So another week went by and he won an award. And so I made sure to congratulate him for that award. And then I waited another week. And all told, I waited over a month. And what was going on in the background during that time was I was writing up an executive summary of the sort of high value targets that should be improved upon on their website and with their marketing. It mainly focused around search engine optimization, but there were some other things. And so at the end of that time, like I said, it was a little bit over a month, I picked what I thought was the most important issue, and I put it in a message to Chris, and I linked to a Google Doc that had the executive summary of the other issues. And if you've been paying attention enough to Chris, you know that he says that his time is his most valuable asset because you never get it back. And so I crafted the language in such a way that I said, listen, this is very important. This is the highest value target. I wanted to try to get his attention and to get him to click and then to read further. And I think to some extent, I was able to get his attention because he said, okay, thank you. And I'm going to pass this along to Ben. And then I didn't hear anything. And I said, all right, well, listen, I did my best. I'm sure they're very busy. They've got other things going on. And so I moved on myself. About 15, 20 days later, I got a message from Ben, and I was very excited. He wanted to set up a call. And long story short, we got to know each other a little bit. I came on and started helping the Futur with their blogging. And what I was doing was taking older articles, doing keyword research on them, in some cases combining them topically. And so I was finding the primary keywords and establishing the keyword theme that's become very important to Google. And I was reworking them, making sure that the keywords were in the image file name and the alt text and all of that, and then essentially republishing those articles to improve the Futur's SEO game. But what would happen is after I republish those articles, then they would, well, be republished. And I was worried that we were bombarding people who had subscribed to the blog. I was worried that they would get annoyed that they just keep seeing these old blog posts pop up. And so then they would just sort of give up on visiting the Futur blog or not pay attention to the updates. And so I said to Ben, I feel like this is too after the fact. What about moving forward if I can do keyword research and we can come up with blog topics based off of demand and based off of, our domain authority and our ability to rank for these certain topics? And so he said, yes, go ahead and create a content calendar and start working on that. What I also thought in the meantime was some of this is still going to be after the fact. If I'm not on the same page with the blogger and I'm not on the same page with the designer who's creating the images, this is not going to work out. And so I said to him, can I create a document to cover best practices so that they'll know what's expected of them going forward, and we won't be doing so many things after the fact. Long story short, I created something that I called a guide to blogging, and it just covered best practices. And after I'd worked on it for a while, I turned it into Ben, and he was impressed with it, which I thought was terrific. I was very excited. And then my jaw hit the floor when he said, what do you think about selling it in our store? I can't even tell you. I was so excited. And so it took a number of months after that. All told, putting the ebook together took almost a year, but obviously it was worth it and a great experience. Now, for you, if you've already purchased the guide or you're thinking about it, right? All of those experiences that I had and more went into crafting this worksheet that you see in front of you, right? And so it talks about how to do outreach. It goes through and pulls out some of the key points that I've had experience in using successfully to do outreach, to get a hold of companies or influencers or that sort of thing. And so all those the experience that I have is put in there, and it's there to help you. So it's, as usual, it has questions. I would say also this one has some templates that you can follow and some specific tips that you can use to improve your outreach game and hopefully land big clients. All right. So that's a little bit of my story. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope my tips help you. And once again, reach out if you have any questions. Thanks, guys. Take care.